It was on a Wednesday, this past Wednesday, August 1st, when I drove away from the Beech Tree Inn there outside of Hertford, North Carolina. I had been staying there for the previous 3.5 weeks, and the reason I had been staying there, forgive me if I'm being redundant, I mean I know I've written this down in various other places, I might have spoken of it in some videos, I'm not sure, is, you know, my firm belief is that everyone has a place where everything just gels. You know, the people, the environment, the circumstances, and you're like, I like it here, and I want to stay here. You know, and for me, that was the Beech Tree Inn. It was just, for my personality, it was just a place that I could live at. But I knew I had to move on, and since my genealogy quest was kind of, you know, hit the brick wall, the old proverbial brick wall, it was time to return west. But I thought, okay, I'm in North Carolina, Virginia is the adjoining state. How far away is Charlottesville, where Thomas Jefferson's Monticello is? I would love to see that again. I saw it in December of 2010. You know, December, that's the wintry months. And so it was wonderful to see, but I wanted to see it during amenable weather. Like, you know, this is August, you know, moving out of summer into fall, you know, just, you know. So I looked it up, and I was 219 miles away from Charlottesville, so I decided, okay, I'm going to, when I leave North Carolina, I'm going to drive into Virginia and see Monticello again. Well, when I told Jackie that Jackie Hobbs is the proprietor of the Beech Tree Inn, wonderful lady, she suggested that if I'm heading to Charlottesville, I need to stop at Williamsburg. And she asked me if I'd been there, and I had to think because I told her I wasn't sure. Because when I visited Virginia back in December 2010, looking for Jamestown and Yorktown, where I wanted to visit, I drove through what I thought was Williamsburg, you know, this kind of colonial era marketplace, and I thought that was it. Well, someone back in Great Bend said no, that wasn't it, so I wasn't sure where I'd been. So I decided, you know, I'll stop at Williamsburg, like she suggested. It's kind of a halfway point between where I was in North Carolina and where I was going to in Charlottesville. And what is to follow here is some of what I saw. Yes, I had been to the marketplace area. I believe it's called Merchant Square. But there's a road that leads on down this amazing colonial atmosphere, environment, buildings and shops and a collection of an experience for anyone who loves history. And next time I'm going to more thoroughly peruse what I saw. Well, I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's a sign just on the other side of the road that says Williamsburg, and I am headed towards downtown Williamsburg, where I'm going to visit, walk around, see what's there, and just give you a little flavor of what Williamsburg, Virginia's colonial capital. This is a little touch of what it means to drive through Virginia. It's funny, I enjoy driving this route, but man, I sure didn't like going into Norfolk or the Chesapeake, Virginia Beach area. I did not like it. This is very, what's the word? Pretty, pleasant, amenable, you know. I like it. And there's someone riding a skateboard, you know. I thought I might add, as I tail behind this car, the College of William and Mary is
is located somewhere around here. I've seen signs directing people to this school or that school, all William and Mary areas. I am trying to find downtown Williamsburg. I think that I was there once back in December of 2010, but I'm not absolutely certain. I think this might be it. Now the question is, can I find parking? I wanted to add a little bit of explanation as to what comes next, because when I went to Colonial Williamsburg and I was just walking around looking at what I could look at and seeing what I could see, I was just, if I saw something I wanted to record, I just held the iPad up, started walking around, recorded it the best I could. You know, I'm walking, so the camera's bouncing a little, so it's not really steady. So there's no narrative, there's no explanation as to what I'm seeing. Now I've gone back in and I've added some audio where I try to explain what's going on. So hopefully this might give you a little bit of understanding of what, or a little bit of flavor of what Colonial Williamsburg is like. And my apologies for not having a boisterous personality that can be entertaining and just jump out in the crowd and just start yapping, you know. Too insecure for that, you know, just too insecure. And hopefully this might be interesting. Well, the first place I recorded was this garden here. I have a friend who loves gardens. I have a little bit of history in gardening. As a kid, my parents just had the whole yard dug up, having, you know, tomatoes and potatoes and carrots and all sorts of array, you know, the basic garden vegetables. This was so amazing to me. I just had to, even though I have no idea what these plants are, and I had no idea in that marketplace there what one should buy, I just thought I would just put the iPad up, get the camera rolling, and just start taking pictures of what I saw. And who knows, maybe someone could identify some of this stuff to me, because it was very enticing to look at and to study and to consider. So here it is. I love historical buildings like this. I personally don't know anything about how to construct such buildings, and I don't even really know why I like them. I just like that they're not all cut out from the same mold. It's like every single family would have built their home in a way that would suit them. You know, I walked all the way to the end of the street, and the street was lengthy. I mean, it must have been at least a mile, maybe more. At the very end of the street was a building called the Capitol, and it's the same Capitol that Colonial Williamsburg, Colonial Virginia, used to conduct the affairs of government. It was the building where Virginia passed the Declaration of, I can't remember what it's called, but it's the resolution that they took to the Continental Congress to declare independence. The very first building on the opposite side of the street, coming away from the Capitol, is this coffee house. And as you can read in the sign there, it was not just a coffee house, but it was also a meeting place for those rallying against the Stamp Act. So I had to get a little shot of that as I proceed back up the street and head back towards Merchant Square. Like I said, it was a lengthy walk. And one thing that I might add, if you do go to Colonial Williamsburg, there is an admission fee, so to speak. And that fee is a ticket that gets you into all the buildings. You can walk around like I did, and the merchants and the retail and the food, you can get into those buildings. But the historical buildings you're looking for to gain some more historical perspective, like the Capitol building I'm leaving now, I couldn't get into because I didn't buy a ticket. So next time I will definitely buy a ticket, because there is a lot here to look over and look through and learn from. Because I would say, not 100%, but the majority of this area was probably very true to the time period. There was one thought crossing my mind as I was walking up the street here. I thought, you know, the exteriors and the buildings are great, but what they need is more people. Now I realize that's a cost because you have to hire people to play not just the innkeepers and the merchants and so forth, but also the inhabitants, the home dwellers, you know. I don't remember exactly what this is, but I think this was like a city hall type building. And that is the building across the way that I first learned I needed a ticket, and that's very embarrassing if you walk up to a place and they say, "Excuse me, sir, where's your ticket?" Very embarrassing. So this was interesting because they can, as you can see, the stocks for punishment are very popular, you know, which probably wasn't the case way back when. And this, you know, you can see the long line waiting to get in, so it kind of made me wonder what exactly, it's got to be a tour, but what exactly building was it? It didn't have a sign out front to say. I recorded this particular selection of video because this is a field in which two horses were grazing. Now, if I had been smart, I would have wandered down to the opposite end of this and got a better shot of these horses, because if you can see, they're way down there. But that's the way those things go sometimes. You don't think about what you should have done until afterwards, when you can no longer do it.
Well, it's roughly around 3:30 on the 1st of August, 2012. I am in Williamsburg, Virginia, the Colonial Williamsburg area. I just left Merchant Square after probably a couple of hours wandering up and down through the Colonial Williamsburg attractions. I don't know what the better word to say is for it. When I was here back in December of 2010, I didn't realize, I think this is east, I think. Further this way, there's all this, I mean, this endless array of colonial era houses, and it ends, I don't think it ends, but at the end of the street, there is a building called the Capitol, and that is, according to the sign, that is where Patrick Henry served in the House of Burgesses, delivered a number of his famous speeches railing against the Stamp Act, where the resolution that Virginia voted on to declare independence from Great Britain, all these historic acts at that particular location. I mean, it's fascinating. And I wasn't aware that you need to buy a ticket prior to wandering down that way to be able to gain access to all the buildings. I couldn't get into the Capitol because I hadn't bought a ticket. But I was thinking, maybe I should extend my stay there in Charlottesville and return here to see all these things again, because I love the historical aspect of it, and I'll have to think that over. I thought I would give a little demonstration. Record a little bit. I have gone through more tunnels down here. I think I don't know if there's any tunnels in Kansas. I mean, but oh, focus, focus. How did I lose focus here? I'm glad no traffic to keep me bottled up. Maybe it's the lights or something. Oh, gee, what is? Leaving Colonial Parkway. I guess that's where I've been. I remember these roads from my last trip back in December 2010. Never encountered anything like this before. Don't know what they are. I mean, like I said, I want to say cobblestone, but that's not right. Just a different type of road, I guess.